is The Blockchain Show.
Thank you very much for downloading the podcast. It does mean a lot to us. And thank you also for the donations which are coming in. We are trying to keep this podcast interesting, fun, and advertisement-free for as long as possible. So all those donations help. We accept every currency going. We haven't had any kitty coins yet, but you never know. It might just happen. Anyway, on to today. And today we've got Davis with us. And Davis is going to tell us about something very exciting and new. Tell us about your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Davis Marklin. I'm a current senior in mechanical engineering at Marquette University. And I also have a blockchain consulting company called Euphrates. And we provide a lot of development and educational services to startups and enterprises who are looking to learn more about blockchain and how can fit into their businesses. So I actually got into this space, July of 2017 when I went to Switzerland, and my cousin there was like, Davis, you got to buy this Bitcoin thing. It's going to be the next big thing. And so I did. But through that process, I actually got really interested in the underlying aspects of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain. And I had to figure out how it worked, essentially. So I started researching, I spent the whole last semester researching blockchain, DLT technologies, trying to understand the fundamental principles, security, transparency, mutability, trust. And I connected with Heather Sullivan at the Marquette University Blockchain Lab because I wanted to learn. I hit a wall in terms of my learning, and I wanted to learn more. And she started this blockchain lab initiative. And so working with her, I started the Marquette Blockchain Club, and we did, we focus on helping students understand blockchain technologies, network with other people who want to work in this industry. And then I actually through starting that, I met my co-founder, Alex Shaw. We both had this belief that blockchain is going to have huge impacts on our society in terms of improving quality of life. And so we decided to start Euphrates together. And so, a couple months later, here we are. We're working with a lot of really cool clients. And
so how do we spell the name of the company again?
Euphrates, EUPHRATES.io.
Fantastic. That's great for our listeners. I know a lot of people are sitting in front of their computers at the moment, and they will be going to the website and having a look. So what sort of customers have you got?
Because we're in Milwaukee, and for those of you guys that don't know, Milwaukee is a very big manufacturing hub, and we've also got, a lot of insurance stuff going on here in Wisconsin, real estate and fintech. So one of our first clients is a company called Catholic Financial Life. People in the insurance industry right now aren't just starting to understand blockchain and its potential use cases within their industry. So we did an educational event for them and help them understand, okay, blockchain is not Bitcoin. What are the use cases in terms of fraud prevention, claims management, that kind of thing. We also we're working with a $200 million manufacturing company here in Milwaukee to help develop an internal auditing system on Hyperledger Fabric. So that's a really exciting project. It's our first proof of concept that we're doing, and we're working with a couple startups here as well, helping them get connected into the blockchain community, fundraising community, that sort of thing.
So what are the top questions customers have with your consulting base? Well, what's the common theme?
Well, the first thing we usually get is, okay, I heard blockchain is, I heard it's Bitcoin. And then, so we have to, explain, well, the Bitcoin blockchain is a blockchain. So that's usually the first thing we get. The other common questions are, especially on the enterprise side of things, they're super concerned about data privacy and sharing information with their competitors. So they talk about, well, if I use a blockchain, is that going to have access to all of our data? Because that would kill our business. So we kind of talk about that, and then some of the nuances there. Other questions we get are around the immutability. So, on public blockchains like Ethereum or Bitcoin, you have every transaction is immutable, and it'll always be there so long as the blockchain is still functioning. And people make mistakes, and so we get a lot of questions on, okay, how do I what if something happens? How do I fix an error like you can in an SQL database? So those are a lot of the questions we get from businesses. Startups are more the startups that we're working with. They're, by the nature of them being startups, they don't have those questions. They're usually very familiar with the technology already, and they just want to figure out particular use cases and get that right.
Yes, I can imagine. And how do you work with the startups? Is it a shared revenue type of operation, or do you start charging them straight away? I'm just interested in that sort of model of how you're growing your company with your customers as well.
Yeah, so it really depends on the engagement. So, if there's a startup that we really like and we really believe in the team, what they're building, then what we'll do is we can work, if they haven't gotten funding yet, then we can work out, usually we work out like a deferred payment thing, because if we really believe in what they're doing, we believe that they will get funded because other people are going to see that. But startups that are funded, and we're doing, defined work, then we'll just do like a flat fee kind of thing. The one company we're working with, they're called Doc Launch. We're just helping them get connected to investors in the space who have a lot of expertise. They already have a functioning product, and so our role with them is just essentially a referral fee type deal. So it really, really depends on the startup side, on the specific parameters, but usually it's we're pretty flexible.
Very, very interesting. And so is the company made up from your colleagues in the university? What's the sort of dynamics of the organization?
Right. So I'm the CEO. So it's just myself and my partner, Alex Shaw. We're both students here at Marquette, both seniors, so we're both graduating soon. And so it's just I basically do all the outreach, finding new clients, that sort of thing. Alec does a lot of our speaking engagements, and sort of engaging in the local area more. And then we also have, our developers, we have contract developers that we work with on a per project basis. And so one of the things we're actually working on building now is building in the Midwest, a blockchain developer network, because I think it's going to be hugely important, especially as this industry heats up. We're still early stages, so as this industry heats up, there's going to be a lot of demand for talent. There already is. Blockchain developers make a lot of money, but even more so. And so we're trying to put together a semi-formal network of blockchain developers in the Midwest and connecting them with companies that need their services.
That does sound like a great idea. And I think that the blockchain revolution, shall we say, is going to change the way developers work. They're going to be more based on working on piecemeal projects, and they're going to have a piece of work to do and do that. And there are various people who have various skills in different areas, and you can utilize them where they're best suited, as in against the traditional, I need to employ a developer for 6 months, for example. Is that something you're seeing as well?
That's exactly what we're seeing. So if you talk to anybody who's like actually working in this space full time, they'll say nobody's just working on one project. Everybody's working on like 5 or 6 projects. And I think developers in particular, the stereotype goes that they have really short attention spans. But right now, in terms of supply and demand, there's a lot of demand for developers. There will continue to be a lot of demand for developers, and so they're going to want to work on the projects that they think are going to have the most impact on people. that they feel that they can contribute the most to, and then also the projects that are going to pay the most. And I think a lot of these developers are starting to see that it's, sometimes it can be more lucrative if you work on your own as a contractor versus, sticking with one company. And then you also don't sacrifice that flexibility. So I definitely think you're going to start to see a lot of these, instead of, one developer working for a company for X many years, they're just going to do a lot of individual projects in like 6-month time frames or less, kind of just as this industry starts to mature.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much what we're seeing over here. So how do you actually find new customers? What's your avenue to find them? Because I imagine that there's a lot of people trying to find out information and searching the web, etc. How do you find those customers who are a little bit lost in the maze of blockchain, shall we say?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll break it up into two parts, because that's how we've been breaking up our marketing. So there's the local, which is Milwaukee, but Milwaukee is a relatively small city compared to a lot of other cities here in the United States. And then there's our outside of Milwaukee to marketing. In Milwaukee, we have a lot of contacts already built up through the various educational institutions, entrepreneurial initiatives, just from my involvement in a previous company that I worked on in the area. So through those, usually what happens is somebody will come to us, say, "Hey, I've got this guy, or I've got this company who is looking to learn X, Y, Z." And then from there, it's just usually an introduction, and then we go from there. Outside of Milwaukee, I've been sort of using the Marquette Blockchain Lab, which is a student initiative to help educate the community on blockchain. I've been using the lab to learn from other students in Madison, Rod Stengel, you guys interviewed her, Madison, UCLA, Minnesota, those places, to meet with people there in those industries. And then, we do a lot, we're going to a lot of conferences as well, meeting with people. So just to summarize, on the local level, we just use our pre-existing relationships that we have built up. And because there's not a whole lot of competition within Milwaukee, that's how we get those. But outside, we go to a lot of conferences and engage with people on blockchain education initiatives, and then that's how we make those connections. We don't do a lot of actually, we don't do any online marketing or anything like that at this point, just because we want to be a little bit more selective about who we work with.
That's a very wise idea. I think at the moment we're experiencing quite a boom, and a lot of companies are literally putting blockchain after their name or around their name and trying to jump on that bandwagon. And I think that there will be a lot of good companies coming out of the other side, very efficient companies, which don't have the traditional overheads associated with the company, but also there'll be a lot of companies which are trying to squeeze a square peg in a round hole, shall we say.
Yeah, blockchain for everything. Everybody wants to put blockchain everywhere.
Absolutely. And it's not a fix, it's an overhaul of how you do things, as well as the business process as well, which of course is very, very key to any organization. But any change in business process takes about 3 years to actually sink in, shall we say, which is, again, something else, let alone a concept such as blockchain, which does take a while for people to get that light bulb moment. And I know we've all found that. So what does the future hold for you? What do you see the future being?
Yeah, great question. So I'll back up and talk a little bit about why I even got into consulting. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, both Alec and I got into this because we think blockchain will have a huge impact on quality of life for a lot of people. We want to be involved in blockchain in the next several years, but we don't yet know which specific aspect we want to be a part of. So what consulting does is it allows us to work with a whole lot of different projects, work on really cool things, but but kind of work on a higher level rather than get into the weeds of one specific project immediately. In the next couple of years, I think as we continue to develop this business, it will transition into we'll either develop a product just from our insights and working with different companies, or we'll launch another initiative. But for now, it's we're learning from as many people as possible and then working on some really cool projects.
Excellent. That's really good to hear. Changing subject slightly, when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be, a lot of things. I wanted to be an engineer. So my dad's a professor of mechanical engineering at Marquette University. So I actually did have him for a class once. That was interesting. But I always wanted to be an engineer. I was taking apart. I took apart our dishwasher when I was like 3 or 4. I always liked solving problems. That's just what I do. And so I got through. So I'm in school for mechanical engineering. I'm likely not going to be going into that field. We're pretty set on doing this blockchain consulting thing, and so far it's been really good. But this offers a new frontier for us to help solve fundamental problems, and that is super, super exciting for me. And so while I wanted to be an engineer initially, just because that's what I had known, the same mindset, the problem solving mindset, is what I'm carrying over here. And so I get to do the same. I get to satisfy the same itch, if you will.
Yeah, you sound a bit like myself. My father brought home an electric typewriter once, and I just took it apart just to see how it all worked, etc.
You didn't put it back together, though.
Oh gosh, no. That would be boring. Why would I do that? I've got Lego for building things. Absolutely. I do also remember telling somebody I wanted to be a computer expert when I was something like 12 years old, and they said, "You do know that expert, broken down, X means you used to do something, and spurt is a drip of water under pressure." And I'm like, what? But yeah, always interesting. Well, imagine you've got 20,000 people listening to this podcast at the moment. How can they get in touch with you? Who should be getting in touch with you? And why would they want to speak to you? And what can you offer them?
That's quite a mouthful.
Yes. There's 4 questions in there.
So how they can get in touch with me, it's pretty easy. My email, davis@euphrates.io. If you're an organized, larger, mid to large size enterprise looking to understand blockchain or potentially develop proof of concepts to test out different use cases of blockchain, those are the kinds of projects we get super excited about working on. So if you're with an established company and you want to start checking out how blockchain can help your business, feel free to send me an email. If you're a startup and either you already have a functioning product, or you're looking at developing your product, and or you're looking for introductions to investors in this space, feel free to send me an email. I'd love to talk to you. And the reason you should talk to me is because I think we just approach things differently. We live in such a hyped world right now in terms of this, such a buzzword, blockchain. And when we go through a process with any client, we always look at, we analyze the fundamental problem that they're trying to solve. And then we look at what solution is actually best to solve that problem. A lot of times, and we've talked to a lot of clients, potential clients, and a lot of times the SQL database is better because you are trusting the entity providing that information. So we're kind of we ground ourselves a little bit, and so that's why I think it'd be good to speak with us.
Cool. Well, we definitely want to speak with you again in the future. See how you're doing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to keep in touch with you, see how you're progressing, and see how those challenges as you build the business and build that customer base, how those challenges are affecting you, and your thoughts about the actual business space. So yes, we'd definitely be in touch with you, and Keep up the good work, and I hope you go from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Davis, not a problem. It was our pleasure to speak to you. Thank you ever so much.
Yep. Have a good rest of the day, guys.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our podcast listeners out there. Thank you for downloading. Don't forget, keep those donations coming in. Keep checking the website and the Facebook page for more updates. And we will bring you more fun and interesting interviews and discussions in the forthcoming future. Thank you, and speak to you soon.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com. To learn more, visit theblockchainshow.com.